Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
last year, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Okay, good morning councillors and officers and members of the gallery. I'd like to welcome everyone along to our ordinary council meeting for the 23rd of January 2024. This is the first council meeting back for the year, but it's the last of the term of this existing council for this term. So on that, I'll firstly like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land in which we meet today, the Darumbal people, and pay my respects to the elders past, present and emerging, extending that respect to our neighbouring Aboriginal peoples within our local government area, the Barada, Cabelbarra, Yadamarala people and the Gungaloo Nation people. Also acknowledging the Torres Strait Islander peoples whose lands are in the Torres Strait but who live and work on Aboriginal land. Councillor, I might ask you to stand while we invite Pastor Craig Yeoman to give us a blessing for this council meeting. Thanks very much, Craig, from the Rockhampton Baptist Church. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much. I've just moved to Rocky, so it's a pleasure to be here with you. Let's pray. Our Father, we thank you that you are a great and living God, that you are purposeful, and we pray that your nature and your character might pervade us. We are your instruments, and we are set apart for your purposes, irrespective of what they are. And so, Father, I want to pray that today you might be with all councillors and all members of local government here, everyone that's representing the people of this community, and that you might endow us all with an abundance of wisdom and discernment and insight for the benefit of the people of Rockhampton. And we pray that you might use us to achieve your purposes and continue to bring prosperity and health and community stability into our region. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Craig. Councillors, just before we start, just to inform, we've moved into alert stage with the local disaster management group as well, with the potential with that cyclone to our north, and looking to operate the LDCC over that period, considering there is a long weekend coming up, and just as a precaution, have that all in place should the need be. So just for information purposes there before we start. Moving right along, for apologies and leave of absence, I believe we have a full complement today, and we don't have any leaves of absence. And can I have a mover and a seconder with confirmation of the previous minutes from the meeting of the 11th of December 2023? Moved Deputy Mayor Councillor Fisher and seconded Councillor Wickerson. Can I put that? Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Councillors, we move on to item 5, the declarations of interest in matters on the agenda. I note that there are a few that have come through there, so we'll start and work our way through them. So firstly, Councillor Latcham has declared perceived conflict of interest with item 11.6. Would you like to speak to that, Councillor Latcham?
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Yeah, I'd like to declare a perceived conflict of interest in item 11.6, development application for a material change of use for a shop, which is the farmers market, refiguring a lot for an access easement and building works accessible against the planning scheme. This perceived conflict of interest arises due to Doblos Farmers Market being a client for an assessment item in a Certificate for Waste Management course that I'm currently undertaking. I'll deal with the conflict by leaving the room and stay away from the place where the meeting is being discussed and voted on.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Latcham. Councillor Fisher wishes to raise a declarable conflict of interest with item 11.4. Councillor Fisher.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, I'd like to raise a declarable interest in 11.4, and that's to do with the tender consideration for print, radio and television advertising for council. As I write a number of garden columns for both print, radio and television, I feel I need to raise at the table and seek your advice, even though it's got nothing to do with the advertising department of these media outlets. I would like to seek council's opinion as to what I would do.
So I think,
Mr CEO.
so if I could just assist Councillor Fisher, is that although you have a declarable conflict of interest in the matter, you believe a reasonable person would perceive me to be impartial because?
Yeah, because within each of these departments, the actual advertising departments as to the journalist area is two completely separate areas within the media, whether that is CQ Today, whether it's Channel 7 or 4RO. They are sort of, one provides the service, the other one provides the money for the service there, and the two cease to come together. But I seek your advice and would accept the decision of the table.
Okay, councillors, any concerns or questions on that one? Councillor Smith.
I was just going to move that Councillor Fisher may participate in the decision about the matter because he doesn't have a declarable conflict of interest.
Okay, Councillor Rutherford.
Through you, Mayor, Councillor Fisher, do you receive any compensation for the columns or the segments on TV?
No, not in the TV, no.
The columns for the paper?
As with the papers, I actually write for a number of papers within the group. So Bundaberg Today, Gladstone Today and Longridge Today. So I do receive payment for those.
You do?
Which is already recorded in my interest.
So,
register.
Mr CEO, does that then become prescribed? Sorry, it does not become prescribed.
Okay, councillors. So we have a mover, Councillor Smith. Do we have a seconder for that? Councillor Latcham. I'll put that Councillor Fisher remain at the table and after declaring that one, have a mover and a seconder. Put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? So come to the end of mine. Yeah, as I voted in favour for, I'll move that the motion's carried in that favour. That's it. Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to our next item, which is no business outstanding, public forums, deputation of petitions, nil. Presentations of petitions. Oh, we do have a petition. Yes. Councillor Latcham.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I've been asked by a resident of Norman Gardens, Dr Jose van der Acker, who would like to table a petition to stop the building of Wi-Fi towers at 3 locations in Norman Gardens. Some 196 signatories. She's been very busy, but all located within the Norman Gardens or close proximity to these areas. So I'd just like to table that.
Okay, righto. No, I'll give that to the CEO. Okay. You need words around that? Yep. You happy to move that one, Councillor? Seconder? Councillor Mathers. I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried. We get the wording around that. Okay, thank you. Committee reports nil. Councillor Delegate reports nil. We'll move on to our first officer's report. 11.1, the sponsorship of the Fitzroy River Barrabash and Rocky's Ultimate Cash Catch. And ask Zach to present that report. Good morning, Zach.
Good morning, Mayor. Good morning, councillors. Good morning, CEO. Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. It gives me great pleasure to talk about something that's so incredible in our region this morning, fishing. So this report has a few different recommendations that I would like to come out of it. But in essence, if I talk about fishing as a whole, so Australians take 5.6 million trips per year to go fishing, and on average, that's 4.6 nights in terms of a travel. Now that represents 670 million in tourism dollars when anglers go to places to bag that perfect fish. Of course, our region is synonymous with the barramundi and also king threadfin, and fishing the Fitzroy has been such an incredible part of our attraction for people to come to our region. Now, for this report in particular, I'll break it down. So the first one is for a continued support of the Fitzroy River Barrabash. So the Fitzroy River Barrabash is presented by the Frenchville Sports Club, and we have supported it for the last 5 years. This event is generally held towards the end of the barramundi season in October, and if we look at the results from last year, it attracted 509 individuals into the river, and that had an economic impact of $174,000. Now that impact, that data is from IER, which is the official data company that TEQ recommend, and you can see that data impact report attached to this report. Now this event is great with with fishers, or with anglers. You've got young, old, novice, advanced. It really is a sport for everyone, and for us to have the lifeblood of the city run right through the city, and those anglers be able to catch those personal best fish right within the city reaches is such a great point of difference, and makes it really easy as a destination marketing unit to promote why you should come here. Now, for events like this, it is crucial and critical that it have the support of sponsorship from many sponsors, and this event attracts sponsors, a really wide breadth of sponsors, and Council has been very proud to sponsor this event for the last 5 years. So my request is that we continue to sponsor this event for 2024. What we're looking at within our event team is how we prepare and plan for the future. You'll notice that every year we try and get out our next major event calendar a little bit earlier each time. Now, as an event department, we put on 5 major events plus 2 civic events, but it's all those other ancillary events that we support that we try and get those dates locked in so that we can advertise and get that major event calendar out even further. So what I'd like to do with some of the other events that we've supporting in the past, like the Queensland Touch Football and the Central Queensland Rugby Union Championships, where we'll do a 2 to 10 year deal for events that have stood up and really shown their worth to our region, I would like to look at doing multi-year deals with them so that we can secure it in our Rockhampton region. And events like this one in particular is not immune from going to other regions. So my first recommendation is that we support the Fitzroy River Barrabash for the 2024, 2025 and 2026 year for a cash sponsorship of $15,000 per year. Now, in addition to that, with fishing, when the barramundi season closes come the end of October, bait and tackle shops, charters, hotels, they all comment that the fishing season slows down when you can't catch a barramundi. And to negate that, what we did was we created the Tag Thready competition. A Tag Thready competition, we used the same tagger that does the $1 Million Barramundi in the Northern Territory, Bill Sornick, who is very well known to most people in this room, to tag some tag threadfin salmon with the prize of $10,000 if you were to catch one of those. Now, we're in our 4th year of this event, and unfortunately no one's caught it. Caught one of them, not it. This year in particular is 14 tagged fish. We have just recently released the locations of where they were tagged to try and spur on some additional interest, and since doing that we had a couple of hundred more registrations on our Fishing the Fitzroy website. For this event to grow, so if no one catches the Tag Thready, that prize that I set aside from operational funds just gets reinvested into general marketing for fishing and destination marketing. But for this event to grow, what we really need is to get more sponsors on. We need to have more prizes, and we need to treat it like a major fishing competition, which is really difficult to be council-led and owned and operated. Now, the Frenchville Sports Club that have had the great success with the Barrabash have approached council with an opportunity for them to create a tag threadfin competition. So it's not our Tag Thready comp. It's called the Rockies Ultimate Cash Catch fishing event, that would have a lot of the same values and proponents as what the Tag Thready competition has, but be bigger and better. And so for this particular event, what they're looking at to create, they're seeking council sponsorship. It would run across the same barramundi close season, so that November, December, January. Now, in addition to that $10,000 tagged fish, they would then extend it into the barramundi open season. So if no one catches it during those 3 months, if you catch it in the open season, you win half the prize money. And each year, everyone that registers, if no one catches it, then they still give away a cash prize of $2,500. With the relationships that they have with the existing sponsors that all very happily sponsor the Barrabash, it is an opportunity for us as a region to continue to have a barramundi close season tagged event to attract people here and to let that grow with a private company to be able to, that has proven their worth in this event scene, to be able to take an edition of this event and really watch it grow and attract more and more anglers to our destination. So with that, my recommendation is for the table is to support the sponsorship of Rocky's Ultimate Cash Catch fishing event. Now, with that event, when we do the Tagged Thready, so we have a $10,000 cash prize that we put up from operational funds, plus there's $5,000 in there for tagging and marketing. So it's utilising the same operational budget, so no increased spend. So to support the sponsorship of that event, to discontinue the council-led Tagged Thready comp at the end of this year, and there's a couple of days left for anyone that still wants to get out on the water and try and catch it, in lieu of this similar event, to continue council sponsorship of the Fitzroy River Barrabash for the 24, 25 and 26 year. And that also aligns with our sponsorship of that the Rockies Ultimate Cash Catch for 24, 25 and 26. Now, all of that, $15,000 for the Barrabash and $15,000 for the Ultimate Cash Catch. So it will be $30,000 in total for sponsorship to the Frenchville Sports Club for the next 3 years. I welcome any questions.
Thanks very much for your report, Zach. And again, to grow the competition, it's been very difficult for Advanced Rockhampton to be in that space, and this gives another option to promote recreational fishing even wider through the Frenchville Sports Club. generous offer to take on that role. So, questions, Councillor Mathers and Councillor Wickerson. Councillor Mathers.
Thanks very much, Mr Mayor. Just through you, if that's all right. We know how good the Frenchville are doing in regards to the Barra Bash, and it's a great event. This is a great report, Zach, so thanks very much for bringing it along. I've got one simple question, happy to support it. One simple question, the $2,500 prize that, you know, if you nominate, you go into the draw for, is that coming from other sponsors or is that coming from council as well?
I'm not sure. It will come from the Frenchville Sports Club. So we will come on board as a as a major sponsor, and it will come from the event.
Okay, so it's not another $2,500 on top of the $15,000.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Mathers. Councillor Wickerson.
Thanks, Mayor. Probably along the same lines. Most councillors went to these Frenchville Sports Awards on Saturday night, and they do everything they touch so well. We also get involved in the fishing, the Barra Bash presentations, and just to fill those two conference rooms up with people that are mostly new to Rockhampton, as Zach said, really puts a lot of economic impact into our region, which is great. And this competition that then spills over into the off-season just makes it a bit more sustainable for people that are in that industry, whether they sell bait or tackle or whatever, or accommodation. So it's a great filler. So it's well worth supporting. And so the questions are: you said there's a number of tagged threadies out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first one that's caught, so you couldn't catch 10 and have to give out 10 lots of prizes. The first one caught gets up.
Correct.
So when Frenchville Sports Club take over, do they then pay, and if you said that, I'm sorry, do they pay then the prize money, or do we...
No, they would then pay the prize money, correct. Yeah.
And probably the last one, probably still related to that. Even though we're still paying the same amount to Frenchville to do their part of it, are there savings in your department with just the resources that go into running it? So ultimately we're ahead with that.
Yes.
Yeah,
there are savings, and many efficiencies, and to have the whole team that they have over there that focus on that Barra Bash have then just an incremental focus is so great, and we have worked so well together over the many years to bring that Fitzroy Barra Bash to life, I completely support this, which is why I bring it to the table to bring the next iteration of that Barramundi close season tag threadfin event to life.
Yeah, no, very good. And Mayor, we've said before that council's role shouldn't be to run these events forever, just to seed them, get them up off the ground, get them sustainable, and then we, like this perfect example, we pass them on to someone that runs with it. So that's great, and then we can focus on the next great thing coming along. And just to finish, the last thing, Zach, I think the only thing I struggled with was the name of it, and pardon the pun, it's not catchy. It's like 6 words in it, so I think you might need to give a parting gift, maybe a more catchy tag or something, just to make it a bit easier to roll off the tongue, is it?
Okay.
From a marketing viewpoint.
I'll discuss that with them, yeah.
Wordy.
The other option is to then look at other species. Some feedback is other species in that Barramundi close season as well, not just the threadfin salmon, to focus on it, but have additional prizes that come in for other species. And I think, that's where it's at. Yeah.
Make it a tag catfish, not take it the fill.
Yeah. I'd still imagine that'd be hard to catch as well with the amount of them in there. Thanks, Councillor Wickerson. Councillor Rutherford.
Mr Mayor, totally supportive, and I look forward to the time, Zach, when now that the Mount Morgan Dam has got water in it, we can restock that, and we have a Golden Gills competition in Mount Morgan to run off the back of this as well. We discussed it a few years ago, and then the dam spilled over and we lost a lot of the fingerlings that way, but hopefully now we have the opportunity, and 3 years down the track, once these have done their 3-year time, we might be able to be ready for a Golden Gills one as well.
Yes, no, and you're quite right, Councillor Rutherford. I think there's great opportunity for the tourism and the economy with recreational fishing. We've done fantastically well so far through Advanced Rockhampton and the promotion of fishing, and I think we're very fortunate to have the mighty Fitzroy with not only the home of the barramundi with an iconic species, but also having the king threadfin salmon there all year round. So why not take advantage of that? And this is a great competition that highlights that. But other areas like Mount Morgan, the number 7 dam, can really benefit from other fish species in that area. But again, drawing tourists to the region and locals alike. So yeah, it's a good win-win story in that space. If there's no further questions, look, I'm happy to move. Seek a seconder. With hands up everywhere. Councillor Smith, I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried. Thanks very much, Zach. We'll move on to the next report, which is 11.2, the Intercollegiate Meat Judging Northern Conference Sponsorship Partnership Proposal. And I'll ask Wade and welcome Wade to present that report. Thank you.
Good morning, Mayor, Deputy Mayor and Councillors, and Happy New Year to you all. The Intercollegiate Meat Judging Northern Conference Partnership Proposal is something that the Council has supported over the last couple of years. It's been a particular conference that provides a really important opportunity for younger red meat professionals to participate and learn the industry, but then also link with their peers and prospective employers within the Rockhampton region, such as Tees. With the red meat industry growing in Rockhampton, it is important to try to attract and retain talent. There's very extensive expansions going on at the present moment in time with regards to the red meat industry and the beef supply chain as well. It is recommended that the Council sponsors the 2024 Intercollegiate Meat Judging Northern Beef Conference, but to do so with the Careers Expo for $5,500 excluding GST. This is something that the Advanced Rockhampton team has budgeted for, and we support this. Happy to take any questions.
Thanks very much for your report. We've got a couple of lights on, so we'll go to questions. Wade, Councillor Smith, then Deputy Mayor, and then Councillor Rutherford.
Probably a comment, Mr Mayor. I've been lucky enough to have been to a couple of these events, and I'm always amazed at the enthusiasm of these young people. And from all over Queensland, I think we had some interstate ones last year as well. And it's always a friendly competition, but at a very high level with the judging and everything of the beef. And I think being the beef capital, it's really imperative that we have this event here. And I think to promote our meatworks as well, our meatworks play a major part in it as well. And I think Advanced Rockhampton do a great job in bringing that event. And I just wondered, probably just a question, Wade, why do they choose us? Like we've had it here the last 2 years or 3 years, and are they so happy with our venue and everything that happens that they're continuing to have it here?
Yeah, through the chair is that they are, I suppose, looking at sort of the region as both the beef capital of Australia, but also I think it's the support that comes from industry and from council there. So I think doing things like this one here is that will help to retain this particular conference within Rockhampton on a yearly basis. So since it started, the very first one had around about 120 young red meat professionals coming along. Last year there was 150, so this year it is expected that'll be 150 plus. So I think it's a really important one for the region to try to attract talent to the Rockhampton region.
Yep, you're right, Wade. And Councillor Smith, you have represented council previously, and again, it is great showcasing Rockhampton region as the beef capital and what we're in that space. It is a great one. Councillor Fisher, and then Councillor Rutherford, and then Councillor Mavis. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, I add to what Councillor Smith had said, and had also had the opportunity to attend this event, not this year, or not last year, but the year before, and I was just impressed that this involves so many young people from across Australia, and it's important to actually, for us to showcase that we are the beef capital of the country, and by having these events only highlights that you have even young people from Casino who have sort of illusions of grandeur that they are the beef capital of Australia, coming here to attend this event. But it's very professional, very professionally run, and those that have attended, from what I've seen, have been very focused on the beef industry, which is so important for our future as well. So I too, like Councillor Smith, commend this and think that it is sort of something like Beef Week. It's very important to have this in the beef capital, so very, very supportive.
Thanks, Councillor
Fisher. Deputy Mayor. Councillor Rutherford.
Thanks, Mr Mayor, and certainly supportive, but I do have a question.
Yes.
Wade, you've spoken a couple of times about this event being important for attracting talent.
Yes.
Given it's been here for a few years, do we have any numbers of you know, jobs that it may have created or people that have come to settle in the region.
That's
because
a
of
very
this.
good question.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I'll take that on notice and I'll then come back to you with regards to that.
Yeah, thank you. If you don't mind, I think when we support these events and they have a specific target in mind, it would be good to see whether they are meeting that target as well.
You're right, and again, I think an indication is with the numbers that it's growing with participation, so it is a good an indicator there that there are more people involved in the event. But what's the flow-on data that comes from that as well? And again, I think we're hearing that from the meat processors looking to expand in their fields as well. So I think it's all connected in that whole overall ag sector. You're right. Okay, happy to move. Councillor Smith, seconded Councillor Fisher. No further questions. I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Thanks very much, Wade.
Thank you, Mayor and Councillors. The Master Builders Queensland are the peak industry association representing building and construction sector in Queensland. And they are seeking a sponsorship arrangement to further develop industry engagements within the Rockhampton region. With strong growth in the construction sector, Advance Rockhampton notes supporting this industry will further assist industry development initiatives and also strength, considering how strong the property market is growing at the present moment in time. It's an opportunity that these events will be able to provide industry information, updates on possible changes to the regulatory environment, updates on employment, wages, health, safety and the environment. These MBQ, or the Master Builders Queensland events, also lay a platform for networking opportunities as well. The officer's recommendation is to sponsor the Master Queensland Industry Information Session, which will be on the 27th of February 2024, and also the Master Builders Queensland Roadshow on the 16th of May at a total cost of $1,950 excluding GST. Noting that the economic development budget has enough money to provide for this expense.
Okay, thanks very much for your report. Questions? Councillor Fisher, Deputy Mayor.
Yes, I totally support this. Mm-hmm. This is coming at a time when we actually need to keep that construction industry going in our area, and not seeing it lost to other regions. So I think this is important on so many different levels, Wade, and I think by participating we're showing that the Rockhampton region is standing by our building industry, so I think this is really important. Thank you for this report.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Rutherford.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Echo what Councillor Fisher says, but I do just wonder that education is what the Master Builders Queensland industry should be doing anyway. So if it's education that they should be undertaking,
yes.
Why then are we paying for something they should be doing?
Yeah, I suppose they're looking to gain sort of further industry partners as well with regards to these types of events. These do come at a cost as well, so that I suppose whilst they do have members, they also are seeking sort of additional funding to be doing more of these into the future. And considering the changes that are happening in the environment, and also, as mentioned beforehand, with the building sector growing quite rapidly here and our need for more houses, I suppose Advance Rockhampton, we see this as important to support going forwards.
Yes, Mr Mayor, I think the benefits out of this certainly, you know, have all been highlighted, and I think this is the right time for it. I just worry that we don't start to step into things that industry or organisations should be doing as part and parcel to their service delivery.
Yes, no, I understand that, but I believe that this this opportunity, because the networking, and when it comes to bottlenecks, I think council's always seen as a problem with development, and being able to network with industry helps us to resolve those issues if there are outstanding ones that come through. So I believe that other aspect of this event can help benefit the region going forward, because as Wade says, it's we're going to see a lot of development over the next decade, and housing is going to be critical for our path forward and be able to provide homes for the families and the growth that we're hoping to receive going forward. So this is an important one, but you're right, Councillor Rutherford, we need to be mindful that industry carries a lot of that weight as well. Okay then, if there's no further questions to Wade's report, Deputy Mayor moved, seconder. Councillor Smith, put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously.
Thank you,
Thanks
Mayor
very
and
much for
councillors.
that report, Wade. We'll move on to 11.4, the tender consideration for plan, print and radio and television advertising for council. And I'll invite Erin to present that report. Good morning, Erin.
Good morning, Mayor and Councillors and CEO. This report is a revised tender consideration plan for print, radio and television advertising for council. It was last brought to the table in 2020 and the media landscape has changed significantly in those last 3 years, and my recommendation is that council accept this revised tender consideration plan. And just in regards to a bit of background in regards to this one, so the only two additions to this report is the addition of Australian Community Media, who look after Queensland Country Life, and also Fairfax Media, who look after a number of different mastheads, including the Financial Review and the Australian. So happy to take any questions on this one, but obviously a number of areas across council, including Advance Rockhampton, engage with a number of these suppliers for advertising purposes. So it's obviously Advance Rockhampton, but also the media department as well, who would be engaging with these suppliers.
Okay, thanks very much for that report, Erin. Again, it's as you mentioned, the media space has changed, and it's always prudent to make sure that we capture all that the opportunities there for our region to be promoted and taken forward through the media channels. So I'm happy to support the recommendation. Seek a seconder if you have any questions. Question, Councillor Wickerson.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Through you, only one really quick question. Do we need to capture social media in this too? Is that seen as a paid media business or outlet?
Not at the moment. There is a separate tender consideration that could potentially fall under, but that is part of our discussion that's ongoing, including the likes of Spotify as well. Yeah. So that's a part of an ongoing discussion that would form a separate tender consideration.
Okay, no, thanks.
You're right. I think as time changes, we've got to be abreast of all those changes and need to be advertising in those spaces as well. So good point, Councillor Wickerson. Councillor Kirkland, you happy to second? Seconded, Councillor Kirkland. Put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Thanks very much, Erin. We'll move on. Sorry, I just lost my screen. Move on to the infrastructure charges resolution review. Hand over to Cameron. Good morning, Cameron.
Good morning, Mr Mayor, councillors and CEO. Happy New Year to everybody. So the report before you this morning is in relation to the charges resolution. So we're basically looking to ensure that the charges resolution remains unchanged. Through the report, you will notice that under the operational plan, we're required to undertake a review of the infrastructure charges resolution. And basically the report before you is for it to remain unchanged. And however, we do have some, incentives in the current policy and look to advertise them more for our multiple dwellings and duplexes as well. So obviously the recommendations for the report to be received and the infrastructure charge to remain unchanged.
Thanks very much for that report, Cameron. Councillors, any questions to that? I think it's a good move at this point in time, and again, we can, as governments move on, it's an opportunity to put forward a case about those infrastructure charges going forward in other spaces, as we understand that trunk infrastructure to those developments, ever increasing costs, and if we're not meeting those costs, it's borne by the rest of the community. So we need to be very mindful of that and make sure that we're charging in that right space when it comes to those future growth and development that we'll see occur in the years to come. On that note, well, I'm happy to move. We've got no questions. Have I got a seconder? Sorry, Councillor Mathers. I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Thanks very much for that report, Cameron. We'll move along to 11.6. Councillor Latcham has got would like to step out for this one. And good morning, Amanda, and welcome to the meeting, and thank you to present your report.
Morning, Mayor and councillors. Today we've got, as you'd be aware, the farmers market in Goodsall Street. The proposal is for reconfiguring a lot for an access easement, as well as a shop, and then there's the existing nursery that exists on the site. So yeah, you'd all be familiar with the location of the site. This development will also formalise 50 car parking spaces as well, which will be good, and formalise the car parking in the road reserve section as well, as conditioned and outlined in my report. This application is not consistent with the purpose of the zone. However, the development is unique in built form and character and would be difficult to accommodate in a centre zone. Therefore, despite the conflicts with the purpose of the zone code, regard to relevant matters is considered to outweigh these conflicts, as outlined in the recommendation A in my report. I'll just go to the next one. In addition, due to the delay in the assessment of the application due to the Rockhampton Sewer Treatment Plant access road needing to be formalised with a road opening application with state government, it is also recommended that the levy charge be calculated at 85% of the total charge, as this application would have been initially decided when that incentive was applicable. Therefore, we recommend the development gets approved and that the development be approved and the levy charge is calculated as outlined in my report.
Thanks very much, Amanda. Yep. Councillors, any questions to Amanda's report? Councillor Mathers.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Mr Mayor, I just wanted to make a comment, if that was all right, and I just want to congratulate the team on the work that they've done with this. Amanda, I know that it's been a lot of work for you guys over a large, over a long time. So, but we're finally here at the table. So, yeah, just want to say thanks for the work behind the scenes, and also, I think it was very fair on the officer's behalf to consider that 85% charge as well, Mr Mayor.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Mathers. Councillor Rutherford, then Councillor Wickerson.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Amanda, I just, around the car parking and the requirement to seal it, I just can't help but feel that will spoil. If that's a bitumen seal as such, which I'm expecting it will be, that would spoil that natural environment. Is there something else we consider, or is that really a necessity?
Yeah, through the chair, it is something that we normally condition in most instances, particularly with the level of, like obviously visitors, they do get to the site, and it can get a little bit dusty as what it is existing. And we couldn't really condition, it was difficult because the car parking, obviously at the front, we've conditioned for that to be purchased from state and amalgamated with the site. So it was very difficult initially to sort of condition any other works in there, such as street trees and things like that, or parking trees for the parking spaces, because initially it's in reserve land that's going to be turned into private land. We just thought with the current, obviously with to avoid dust was one of the main reasons. It's also a requirement in the scheme. And yeah, thirdly, just to be consistent with what we've conditioned with other development. And there's also a lot of existing matured trees around the site too. So it's not as though it's going to be just a one, like there'll be plenty of shade and that provided for the parking spaces as well, so for heat mitigation.
Yeah, I get that. I'm worried there are beautiful trees there, and I'm worried about those. But even the fact that the flood goes through there, the longevity of any bitumen that went down would be limited. There's no K&C along any of those streets. You know, we have our own dirt, I guess, all the way around the cricket grounds and towards Norths. And I get all the reasons that you talk about, certainly, but this is sort of a bit standalone. It's not in an area where that, you know, there's other residential properties nearby or even commercial properties nearby. It sort of sits in a really natural environment, and I think the more bitumen we put round there, the more we take away, and the less trees that survive, the more we take away from that natural environment.
And through the chair, I think you'd probably find too the maintenance of it not being sealed. I'm not sure whether there'd be more maintenance on that. Jamie, did you have?
I probably think there's a hygiene issue there too with an open air facility. If you've got dust, it may create a problem there with food handling as well, rather than having a hard stand. Jamie, did you have comment on that? Yeah. You might just need to go to the microphone because we're on online as well. Thank you.
Through the chair, and just further to Amanda's comment, without sealing that car park area, you've got the potential of vehicles dragging that gravel and that sort of material out into the carriageway. And we've got trucks going into the FIW, sewage treatment plant. You've got all kinds of vehicles there, so you're trying to avoid all of that material getting dragged out into the carriageway there and making that area unsafe, I guess. So further to Amanda's comment regarding amenity, that's another thing to consider.
Has that been an issue? Because this is, it's been operating in some sort of commercial way in quite some time now, not just this, but prior uses. Has that proven to be a problem for us in the past?
So I'm not aware of any complaints as such, but I had a site visit as recent as yesterday, and there was a lot of material dragged out into that carriageway. So I guess, just trying to avoid an unsafe situation. With regards to flooding in that area as well, we've got a road network that would get inundated to a degree as well. So that road network seems to have, over time, functioned okay. So I believe that car park area might be okay in the flooding events.
Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Rutherford. Councillor Wickerson, then Councillor Smith.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Probably a prefacing comment first and a couple of questions. I certainly appreciate this is a very popular business in town and provides a great service, especially now that cost of living is up, that it's affordable food for a range of people, so that's no slight on the business and how it's run and all that. But I'm just a little bit anxious about setting precedents for future planning by, not by planning, but by, lost the train of thought with the word, but forgiveness rather than approval. So questions are, that we're going back retrospectively and attending to some of the omissions with maybe the application. How much more resources have council officers like in your department had to put in to bring this up to approval standard compared to if it was done correctly the first time?
Well, through the chair, obviously the site itself had a lot of constraints, so that obviously takes a little bit of additional time through the assessment, but that could happen with any site. So yeah, it's an applicant-driven process. So the applicant is the one putting all the information together and submitting it to council for assessment. So no, it didn't. Obviously having the development occur and then assessing it, I suppose, after the fact didn't require any further resources from council.
Okay, thank you. And I know in the report that we've given the applicant, I think it's another 2 years to attend to some of the outstanding things. And I know that they've done a lot of work already, Mr Mayor, to come up to that standard, so that's to be applauded. Do we know, apart from the planning side of things, with building applications, are the new structures on site? And I know there was a sawmill and nursery there before, but for the newer structures, are they all captured in that 2 year period to make sure that they're all engineered and designed and approved?
Yeah, through the chair. So, they will need to they were waiting on this approval to finalise, obviously, some of their building applications on site. And yes, that was as per the conditions, they'll need to comply with that. And we haven't given them necessarily 2 years for that. They've got to do that pretty much straight away as per the conditions have stated. The 2 years was for the car park out the front, because that would be a state process which could be a bit lengthy to purchase that that road reserve. But everything else it needs to be done as soon as we issue the approval. So obviously will be reasonable. They will need to put in operational works applications. They will need to engage engineers for the detailed design drawings, and then they will need to finalise their building permits as part of that. Yeah, that's all been conditioned, and that's something we can follow up on afterwards.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much, Mr.
Thanks, Councillor Wilkinson. Councillor Smith.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. My query was similar to Councillor Rutherford's, and instead of putting that, huge costs of bitumen or concrete, I was wondering if they couldn't use the same gravel that we allowed developers to use in the Gracemere industrial area in some of those truck depots. If they were just parking, they could use a certain gravel, but all the other areas where they were driving the trucks, they had to bitumen, and I just wondered if they can't use that special gravel.
Yeah, through the chair, all the ones in Gracemere where we have actually conditioned, where they haven't had to completely seal the surface, they're normally just for parking. So all the manoeuvring areas, we require them to be normally sealed. So with this one, obviously there's a lot of, as I said, it's just the volume of cars that come and go that's required it to be sealed.
Thanks, Amanda. Okay, councillors, there are no further questions. Could I have a mover and a seconder with regards to this report, officer's report? Sorry, Councillor Rutherford.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, just one more. I'm sort of going over Amanda's responses, and I was just wondering whether we have the ability to... No, it's all right. It's already been operating for a while, so I was just going to say, could we put off the bitumening of that car park to see what sort of issues sort of come into play, and then if it's a problem, require the bitumen? But it's, no, I get that. I thought it through. I should have thought it through before it came out my mouth.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no, that's okay. Thanks, Councillor Rutherford. Councillor Mathers.
So, Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to make a comment probably on for Councillor Rutherford in regards to, I go around that area quite regularly, and that bend there on Goodsall Street coming up to the traffic light it's always covered in granite and gravel. I've noticed when I've ride a push bike there or a motorbike there, it can actually be quite unsafe, but also a lot of that dirt can wash down now into the lower drain area during heavy rain. So it is something that I've been very mindful of for quite some time.
Yep, thank you. Okay, well, you're happy to move on. I'll second. Councillors, if there are no further questions, I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Did you wish to record? Councillors in favour, myself, Deputy Mayor Councillor Fisher, Councillor Mathers, Councillor Rutherford, Councillor Smith, Councillor Kirkland and Councillor Wilkinson voted in the negative. The motion is carried. We invite Councillor Latcham back in, and thanks very much for that report, Amanda. Yes, Councillor Wilkinson wished to record it. Is Councillor Latcham right while we do this? The motion's been carried. He's right, Councillor Latcham, but we just got to record who voted, and I did say that as I went around, and it's only Councillor. Righto, okay, sorry. Righto, thanks. So we'll move on to our next item, 11.7, which is the proposed animal inspection program, and I'll hand over to John to present that report. Good morning.
Good morning, councillors and mayor. We're here today in relation to animal inspection program that we intend to take between the 1st of April and the 23rd of June. This program obviously is more targeted at a specific area of Rockhampton, being Bursica, compared to our previous programs where there have been non-renewed programs following on people that haven't renewed their registration each year. This program obviously Bursica was selected, given that it was one of the suburbs with the highest number of animal complaints and wandering complaints in the region. And obviously, the program will run from the 1st of April to the 23rd of June, inspecting properties not only for registration but for microchipping enclosures and all the other compliance requirements under the Animal Management Act and the local law.
Thanks very much, John. It's not a new program. We've had this previously, and again, we have those issues where areas that we don't seem to we don't do the inspections have problems with wandering dogs and the like and unregistered animals. So, Councillor Mathers, did you have any comment?
Mr Mayor, more than happy to move, but also just wanted to say, you know, once again, congratulate the team for being proactive with this stuff, because it is something that we need to do. It's very time consuming and it costs quite a bit of money for council, but, you know, it's something that we need to do in regards to, because this is not just about, you know, checking the dogs are registered, it's compliance of the enclosures and that as well. So I think it's very important but to be done. So, yeah, happy to move.
We have a seconder. Councillor Rutherford. Any further questions or not? I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. And we'll move on to the next item there, John, which is the off-leash area register. Thanks very much, John.
Mr. Mayor,
Sorry, Councillor Fisher.
Go on to this. Probably just a query.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a regular at Dudley Park with the dog leash area with my 2 dogs. Is there any conflict of using that? It's just a query.
Long bow, Councillor
Yeah.
Fisher, if you own a dog.
But I just ask the question, yeah.
That's fine, thank you. Thanks very much, John.
Right. So obviously just here in relation to, I guess, getting a resolution for an off-lease register. Obviously when the local laws changed, just an administrative process, we took out, like this is now an administrative process from that local law change. When we updated the amendments, we removed the actual physical addresses from the local law, creating just what is an off-leash register that council has to advertise on its website and be available for the public. This is obviously the administrative process to adopt all of those areas and designate them, and then create that off-leash register, which will in the future allow us to have that easier process to designate areas going forward. So the areas are exactly the same as what was in the local law, with the addition of the areas added by, currently under trial as off-leash areas. So they will be now included in that area and available for use as well up until the 30th of June.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Councillor Smith.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I just wondered if there's any media we can do just to remind people when they're outside their property, unless they're in a leash-free area, the dogs have to remain on the leash. I've had complaints from Gracefair, Gayville, Gracefair Road. They think they get out on the highway, just let them off and let them have a run, and then they go and annoy dogs in other regards. And a little 14-year-old dog had a heart attack because it thought it was being attacked by these dogs that were off the leash. So I just wondered, you know, we used to do a lot of media in that area, but we seem to have dropped the ball a little bit. Just wondering if we could possibly ramp it up and just remind people the dog has to be on a leash outside the area, its home, unless it's in a leash-free area.
Yeah, these things wane over time and people just become complacent, so it's always great to make sure that we advertise in that space. So we'll make sure that pass on to the department to get some media out there around that, Councillor Smith. It's a good point.
And just a second question to me, these new leash-free areas have been operating for a little while now. I just wondered if we had a lot of complaints at all, or many dog fights or whatever.
Through the chair, there's been nothing come to us, and I'm pretty sure Strat Planning hasn't had anything either. We have had the odd complaint that they're not fenced, but other than that, there's been no real complaints of the use.
They tend to, the people that use them tend to make sure that...
Be responsible.
Yeah, that's right. Councillor Kirkland and Councillor Wickerson.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Thank you so much for this report and happy to support it. Just questioning around Ergon Park out on Larkham Street, out in Richardson Road there. Is that was on the list of potentials. Was that removed from being a dog off-leash area? I just didn't see it on the register here.
Yeah, so through the chair, the off-leash areas, when they were adopted through Strat Planning, no, it wasn't one of the options. It wasn't selected. It was obviously an option put forward.
I'm sorry, I would like to dispute that. I think it was actually on the list because it's in my division, and I remember clearly that was a consideration.
Anything from Ergon Park? Ergon Park, the one here.
Sorry, you just might get it to a mic if we could, Steve.
Yeah, it was considered in both the dog fenced area. It was more considered as a dog fenced area, but the cost of doing that, we still see it as a potential as development moves forward there, that becomes a fenced area. It's got an existing fence, but it's not. It's just bars. It's just poles. So that was considered, but not. It wasn't because there was cost implications, and it wasn't just a friendly area. We didn't go forward with that, but it can still be considered and put onto the register in future elements. We're currently and ongoing looking at different areas for that proposal.
Okay, so it's not on the off-leash area because it has to be a fenced area. It's a large park, and I was just curious as to why it's not friendly.
Yeah, it's got a little bit to do with the quality, like to get it up and going, because it is a bit ragged to get it going, irrigation and get it. There's still some cost involved in even making that an area suitable for that sort of use as well. So during that process, because of that cost, it wasn't considered because it wasn't just whacking in poles. But as we go forward now, with further development, there is around the Parkhurst area definitely identified gap within dog off-leash and dog-friendly areas. So, yeah.
So it's a live document and one that can be...
Oh yeah, no, it's still a lot, like it hasn't been considered and taken off the table. It's just as we work through budgets and go forward, it will be considered again and probably developed in future.
Well, I would expect that will be for the incoming councillors to pursue and make sure that they make that happen.
Good point. Councillor Wickerson and Councillor Rutherford.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Through you, happy that Rozelle Park's on there. It's a nice big park and it seems like an ideal place. But as far as I know, there's an area there that's like field archery still that's active. Yep. I'm just a bit anxious about that. I'm sure they're all great shots, but
I hope so.
Could be a conflict there. And from memory, I don't think it's fenced either. There might be a wire fence or a barbed wire fence, so dogs could run in the middle of a competition. I just don't know how you manage that, that's all.
It's one of those areas that's pre-existing from, like, existing in the local law. So it's an area that can be considered again. It is unfenced, an area that's always just been, a legacy area, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sure
probably
they'll manage it
with a bit of caution. If you see archery down there occurring, then probably not take the dog for a walk.
Yeah. Thanks, Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Wickerson. Councillor Rutherford.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'd like to pick up on Councillor Kirkland's point because I'm a little concerned now. Good pick up, Councillor Kirkland. I hadn't seen it slip off, but Ergon Park was an off-leash area and has been quite some time, a bit of a legacy one, just like Rozelle Park that you've spoken about. So I would think that the community believe that it is an off-leash area because it's been that way for a long time, and we acknowledged at the time it was not a maintained area. It was actually natural bushwalking type environment. It was there specifically for larger dogs, well, not specifically, but for larger dogs that really their owners wanted to take them for a good long run or a hike type of thing. So I certainly didn't realise it had fallen by the wayside because we were aware of all those things when we adopted it as an off-leash area.
Okay, Steve, John, is there a reason why we can't put it on? For those reasons you said before, but if it was already on there before, and I didn't see why it should be coming off if you was keeping that continuity going if it was already a dog off-leash area.
Through the chair, it was never on the local law. So from the 2019 adoption, where the full local law review was done, Ergon Park was never on there. So the list that's up there now is the current list that was in there when it got reviewed the 11th of December. It might be a legacy, it might be used the same as some other parks have traditionally been used as a off-leash area, but not actually designated.
The same as Georgetown over when we did those. Ergon Park was in there, so it may not have been local laws, but it was certainly in the parks. Yeah.
So
Through the chair, the ones that we're adding here, we've been to consultation on with the community, and that has been reported back and accepted. So it's two different things. So this is sort of amending the local law and having a register that adds in the amendments that we've got from the consultation. I would have to check back on those other sites whether or not we've been to consultation, but certainly I would advise if we want to add those to the list, we do that same consultation with the community just to be sure that we've captured all of those points.
So I believe the consultation was already done. It's under the same time frame as what Georgian Oval was. It was one of the first off-leash areas that council had adopted.
As in years and years ago, do you mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it must have been an unofficial one. At any rate, we can always go back because it was never on our register in terms of that local law. We can always go back and add that at a later date.
Can I suggest that after that resolution there, Mr Mayor, is that an additional resolution be passed requesting a further report to come back to the table on Ergon Park and any other similar parks?
Yeah, and
the
happy with
council
that, Mr.
table
CEO.
for consideration to amend the local law.
And that may mean just going back out to public consultation in those areas. If it's done previously, then it may need to be just brought up to speed with this one. But yeah, I think if there was a pre-existing understanding or process the council had, then we need to capture that. Thanks, Councillor Rutherford and Kirkland. Councillor Latcham and Councillor Mathers.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Just a question. I noticed some of the parks there are designated areas up until 30th of June 2024. What happens on 2024? Does it happen to drop off the list? Or?
So through the chair, yes, they would drop off the list at that stage, but those are currently the adopted off-leash or the dog-friendly areas that will come back to council through strat planning. So they were the adopted what are they called? Dog-friendly areas, so Kershaw, Eddie Baker and Remembrance Park were the three that were adopted as dog-friendly areas last year for a trial of 12 months, which is where the whole off-leash strategy came around with all the parks involved. So they were the three that were adopted to say they'd be trialled for the 12 months. So as at that date, if there hasn't been any issues, strat planning would come back with their results of the trial, and it'd be determined then at that point in time whether we would adopt them as dog or off-leash areas and add them to the register.
All right, okay, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Latcham. Councillor Mathers.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Mr Mayor, just wanted to clarify that I'm probably 95% certain that when Councillor Rutherford and I did media on the dog off-leash parks, and Ergon was definitely on that list that we were promoting as full consultation.
Right, well, if that's the case, then we've got the second recommendation there that we can capture that separate to the original recommendation that's there, Councillor. If that suffice to include that Ergon Park in the future one, but other similar parks as well. So we'll run another eye over the other opportunities there. Okay, Councillor, if there's no further questions, John, could I have a mover and a seconder with regards to the original recommendations, which is the one? Councillor Mathers, do you wish to move? Oh, it's made you the recommendation for the move, Councillor Mathers, seconded Councillor Rutherford. I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion is carried unanimously. And that we have a second recommendation there, moved by Councillor Kirkland, seconded Councillor Rutherford, that the report be presented on Ergon Park and any similar parks in the dog off-leash area for consideration for future amendment in the local laws. Councillor, if there's no further comments on that, I'll put that one. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion is carried unanimously. Thanks very much, councillors. Thanks very much for your report, John. We'll move on to 11.9, the Gracemere Junior Rugby League Incorporated Cedric Archer Park, the master plan proposal. Welcome, Justin, to present that report. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Mr Mayor. Through the chair, good morning, council. Today's report, ultimately what officers are looking for is we're asking for council to receive a proposed master plan that the Gracemere Junior Rugby League organisation has put together in consultation with a number of different parties in the region and directly engaging a consultant to help do that work. Now, as outlined in the report, I guess the real meat to this is the attachment through that proposal that they've put forward. Now, officers have worked closely, I guess, through this consultation period to ensure what that organisation is setting out to achieve for the sporting precinct area within Cedric Archer Park aligns, I guess, with Council's corporate objectives and, I guess, our vision for that region moving forward. Now, look, as we've identified through the planning team and through officers operationally, what they have set out in this report, on our opinion, is absolutely incredible. The work that they've done with the consultants through the surveys, the community, they've really done their homework around what this precinct can really benefit from in the years to come through development. And obviously, they've already started to demonstrate some really good partnerships within the region, bringing other groups into that precinct to use our facilities. So this will really provide a foundation long-term to continue that shared use, which obviously council and officers are really trying to encourage within our sporting facilities. So, look, what I'll do is I'll hand any questions, anything around that, and I'll do my best to answer. I guess the next steps now is that officers will work with those individual, I guess, projects that they bring forward. It's all subject to funding. And I guess the key thing for us, there will be a subsequent report that comes back when the projects within that master plan start to implicate tenure, where we might need to make some changes or tailor that to support the plan. So that'll come back more in the detailed design for those projects once the club get to that stage.
Thanks very much, Justin. Questions? Councillor Smith.
Yeah, probably just a comment, Mr Mayor. I knew the club was working on doing this. They've been talking about it for quite a few years. But when I saw the master plan, I was totally gobsmacked. You know, as Justin said, very, very professionally done, and they've just covered everything. They've put their money where their hopes and dreams are for the future. They're looking to the future, and the fact that they've got 151 children there, not just from Gracemere, but from all our rural schools. We've got 7 rural schools around Gracemere, and a lot of those kids come from those areas as well. And it's great having Cedric Archer Park upgraded. When they're finished, they can go for and get cool off in the water park. So it works really, really well. So yeah, I'd like to congratulate the club. They've just done a wonderful job.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Smith. Councillor Rutherford, question.
More a statement and amended motion, if I could, Mr Mayor, please.
Yep.
Also would like to congratulate the Gracemere Junior Rugby League Club. This presentation was just outstanding. The amount of effort that had gone into it and the professionalism was just, it would be wonderful to be dealing with that sort of level of proposals more frequently, but yeah, certainly just amazing. I would like to amend the recommendation just slightly, Mr Mayor, and to take in a point that is from the conclusion of the report, so that council receives Gracemere Junior Rugby League Incorporated proposed master plan for Cedric Archer Park and provide in principle support towards future community projects defined within the plan. So it's basically the last sentence of that report.
Sorry, didn't pick up the whole...
Sorry, Karen. And provide in principle support towards future community projects defined within the plan. Community projects defined within the plan.
And through the chair, this report and council receiving and ultimately that in principle support, this will represent their letters of support, their local council support when they do look to secure funding through grants. So it's a really good opportunity.
Mm.
Yes, Mr Mayor. I just felt it gave them a little bit more support when they do go looking for grants rather than just receiving the report.
Okay, councillors, you're moving, Councillor Rutherford. I don't believe that they have changed in the intent of the recommendation. Seconded, Councillor Smith. If there are no further questions, I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed, motion is carried unanimously. Thanks very much, Justin.
Thank you, Councillor.
We'll move on to the next report, which is the Community Gardens Policy, and I welcome Steve to present his report. Good morning, Steve.
Morning, Mayor, Councillors, CEO, and Happy New Year. I bring forward for Council's consideration and is seeking endorsement of the community gardens. I was going to say community master plan. Community gardens policy. Council get a number of community groups and people approaching council to do community gardens, and council has seen the great sort of benefits that you get from community gardens, such as the social aspects, physical and passive activity for people of all abilities, and the information sharing, and just, yeah, overall the social aspects of that, just to name a few. So council officers have put together a policy and a procedure document and some supporting documents to help guide interested parties through the process and how to work through with council. So the main aims of the policy is to again assist people that are interested in becoming going through the process that is needed to identify a site, get land tenure and different things, but also what the planning aspects of building a strong community group that helps with the longevity of creating a community asset and then continuing on in the future. The community policy and the procedures are there for you to consider, but there's also other documents that will support this, which is the fact sheet, which is quite comprehensive and is designed to help people go through it, and the application form that will collate all that information. So today, putting forward to council, seeking your endorsement of the policies and the procedures. Any questions?
Thanks very much, Steve. We've got a number of questions. It's great, great report, and one I think brings a bit of structure into that space as well. So I'm not sure. I looked up and there was a number of lights on, so I'll just start at this side of the table and then work my way around. Councillor Mathers, thank you.
Thanks very much, Mr Mayor. Mr Mayor, just wanted to make a comment, if that's okay. Through to Alicia and Steve and the team, just want to say thanks for putting this together. You know, what this is, moving forward, what this is going to do is make those community groups that want to look at doing something like this in the future, it's going to help them, one, make sure they're making the right decision so they know what they're lining up for, but also making sure it's being the garden's being positioned in the right location with the right community group, and also if they want to go ahead with it, making sure that we're giving them everything they need to make it easy for them to follow that process. So thanks very much for putting this together for us.
Thanks, Councillor Mathers. Councillor Wickerson.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Following on from that, exactly agree. We get applications and interest all the time from people that want to put a community garden together, and as the report says, the benefits of them when they fire and work properly are many, so it's good to see that. But the worry that I always have with these things, that initially it's always a lot of excitement and enthusiasm, but that over time can wane. So, and then more times than not, we end up bearing the legacy of that, and what do we do with it? It costs us money to undo the damage or to restore the site or whatever. So I didn't want to put in some sort of a deposit that will cover that, because it makes it hard enough for these groups. But I think the policy in itself is enough detail and thoughtful considerations to try and avoid that down the track a bit. So as my colleague said, that these groups will know very clearly what they're up for, that they've got to have a safe work plan, which I was very pleased to see, and then we raised that at the workshop, that well-meaning volunteers come along, but you don't want to put a shovel through their foot because they've got thongs on or something, so good to see that in there. But the report itself should cover off on these groups so that they know full well what all the steps they've got to go through to select a site, but also to operate it and sustain it in the future, because the benefits are there. It's good to see. So again, thank you for the detailed report.
Yeah, and in saying that, special mention goes out to Yellow Brick and Cavan Street Community Group, who have worked through with council on this process. It's probably stretched out what they're doing a little bit, but it's helped us create, I think, a pretty fair and even policy. Yeah.
Thanks very much. Councillor Wexton, Councillor Rutherford.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Yeah, these certain community gardens are fantastic when they work well, but they're also, it can be a huge headache when they fall apart. And I still have a little bit of a concern about its 5.2.1 cessation of use. And it talks about when the group is no longer viable and the site is to be reinstated. The issue with that is when it's no longer viable, it usually means that there's no more volunteers to keep it maintained. So who's going to reinstate the site? So I get where you're coming from. I'm just wondering, this is one that I think our staff will need to keep a very close eye on. And I do think there needs to be something in there that talks about if the site becomes overgrown or if we have to step in a number of times, then discussions need to be had about the viability of the site, so that we're actually getting on top of that before it falls apart as such. So, you know, I think if there, and I don't know what the perfect number is, Mr Mayor, but if we've had to step in, you know, 3 or 4 times to tidy up a site because of complaints, then I would think there's a real discussion that needs to be had then about whether there is enough volunteers to keep the site viable.
Yeah, we, sorry, through the chair. Throughout this, so Parks, so Aaron and Justin, and even down with the operational supervisors have been worked through the development of this, and a part of the process is that we go to site, if they're self-maintaining even every 3 months or so every quarter, a part of their rounds, just check on the site and make sure it's not going into disrepair, and continue to work with the groups in that manner to try to make sure we get ahead of the game and they just don't leave the site and leave it in total disrepair. And the other element that we've worked, especially with the operational team, is that they develop it to a standard that can work with, if we need to come through and start maintaining it, that it works within our with our equipment and different things to be maintained quickly and efficiently. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Rutherford. Councillor Smith.
Oh yeah, thanks Mr Mayor. The request I've had at Gracemere is actually in one of our parks, but this doesn't cover parks. It says only public open spaces are considered, and the land should be vacant, devoid of structures, have limited vegetation and be generally underutilised, which doesn't cover the park. So I just wondered how can that be accommodated in a park? And are parks out definitely? It doesn't say so in the document, but I just wondered how that can be accommodated in a park.
Steve, you've got
Yep. Yeah, through the chair. Yeah, so a park is an open space that council manages. What we're trying to outline there is if it's a small park with equipment, and we don't want to cramp that up, but the park that you're referring to in Gracemere is quite large, and yes, it can fall within the criteria for a space as long as it's not interfering with current infrastructure. So yes, we could do it, for example, within that park because it's so large. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Kirkland.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and colleagues have all mentioned a number of things that trigger when we're reading this policy. It's a great policy. Happy to support it in the intent with which that it was written is to support our local groups, and developing these gardens goes a long way to helping mental health and physical health integration for our culturally and linguistically diverse communities to just network and to meet with other people. It's a great initiative, and as Councillor Rutherford and Councillor Smith have pointed out, there are a couple of things there that I would like to also to bring to the table with a question around with what Councillor Rutherford has said. Is there consequences for something falling into disrepair? I mean, if we've got neighbours that are actually complaining about it being unsightly and overgrown. I mean, one person's idea of what a garden looks like should look like compared to someone else. My idea of what a garden should look like is probably very different to what Councillor Smith's idea of what a garden should look like. At what point do we discern and say, well, this is a nuisance, this is overgrown? Because someone might think that's the way the garden should look. I think that that's going to be a challenge moving forward. My question is, are there any consequences for, you know, we set up policies and procedures, but at the end of the day, if someone breaches, what is the consequence of that? Who pays? Who is called upon to restore the site to its original condition, and how do we hold them accountable to that?
Yeah, so within the policy, bringing that forward and bringing that open, that conversation happens from the start. So about those sort of responsibilities and different things. So to get a community garden, so being incorporated, building their capacity, but again, they fall under a permit or a lease, which has more detail around those sort of requirements. And if there was any sort of elements of fines or whatever, that would go within the permit or the leasing policy. And at this current, we speak about their responsibilities, but I don't think there's any elements in that. But again, by trying to build the capacity of the groups and working with them, we're trying to increase the longevity of those sort of things. It puts the same elements of, say, any other community group with getting incorporated and having those responsibilities. With those responsibilities, they've got to have a management group. They have to report annually, all those sort of things, trying to build that in to create something that doesn't fall apart and fall apart quickly. Just like all our other community groups that we've, like some of our sporting groups and art groups and different things are up on 50 years of going through these sort of things. We're trying to build that longevity at the start.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Steve. I mean, it gives us some sense of reassurance that that leasing agreement is going to
that's
contain,
right.
Contain those legal requirements.
Correct.
And a little bit of structure around that, so that's reassuring. Just one last question. Are people actually allowed to put these into easement areas? So if there's an easement, for example, there's an easement out on Farm Street there at the end of Hinchliffe Street, which is just a plot of dirt which we maintain and look after all the time, but is that an area that would be considered?
If it's open space and council control it, yes. We've had a sort of a request come in that it actually fell within a road reserve. So it was in the middle of, so within a street, within the middle of the corridor of the road, street here, street, and the constraints that you have with working in that space.
Safety-wise.
Yeah, you'd have to have like road, anyway, but if it falls outside of those constraints, I can't. And it's an open space and we control it, I can't see why not if it's not a dangerous place to be. Yep.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, last question.
Yep,
so my last question to this is moving forward, as this is, with all of our policies and procedures, a moving beast, and as we come across things that are not necessarily working, just to be sure, this is something that will be reviewed in how long?
2026, the policy and procedure. The reason why we kept the fact sheet and the application out of that realm is so that has a bit of flexibility. So if we could make changes to those, helping the community and giving them more information, as long as it aligns with the policy and procedures. So, to answer your question, 2026, this will be reviewed.
Thank you.
And that's, within the actual recommendation that it gets reviewed at that time.
Councillor Rutherford.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Sorry, just one more thing, and it's probably around fencing, Steve, and have we thought about whether, if there's a request to fence it, what the stance is on that fencing and locking it?
Yeah, so currently, if it's unfenced and open to the community, it would fall within a permit, so a little bit more flexible and easier, and less cost. If it's a lease, it would become a lease if they started to fence it and constrain the actual community use of that. So it falls under two sort of aspects. So it's a different consideration, and if it was a lease, it would then come to council for consideration, not go through just this process.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we'll need to look at, and it'll be site specific. If it's a piece of land that's out of the way or whatever, but if it's in a park somewhere, we certainly don't want fenced off areas sitting in the middle of a park. So,
and we work with them, and currently all the groups that we've worked with are, and they want it open. They want people to engage with it.
Less cost. Okay, thank you. Councillor, no further questions. Could I have a mover and a seconder with regards to Steve's report? Move Councillor Rutherford, second Councillor Wickerson. Put that up. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Councillors, I might move that we'll move that we take a recess for 20 minutes and come back at 10 to 11. Put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you, Councillors.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming. I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine. Everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line. Ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine. Everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line. Ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
I'll move that the meeting be resumed. Oh, sorry. You right? Thank you, Councillor. I'll move that the meeting resume. And I don't need a seconder. I do.
No.
I'll put that. Those in favour? Motion's carried. Thank you. Thanks, councillors. We'll move on to our next item, which is 11.11, council delegation to executive officer. Made that through to Shannon.
Yeah, just
good morning, Shannon. Sorry.
Before Shannon starts, I just would like to inform the council that Shannon's been appointed to the coordinator of legal and governance just before Christmas.
Congratulations. Alyssa's moved on from council?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks very much. And, present your report. Thanks, Shannon.
Thank you. Good morning, Mayor and councillors. This report seeks council's approval to delegate the exercise of powers in the delegation register for subordinate local law number 2, animal management, to the CEO. Due to the recent changes in the subordinate local law which were adopted by council on the 11th of December 2023, the delegation register has been updated and proposes to delegate the CEO one further power shown in the attachments to the report. I'm happy to take any questions councillors may have.
Seems pretty straightforward one there, Shannon. Is there any questions, councillors, to that? I'm happy to move as recommended. Seek a seconder. Councillor Smith, I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion is carried unanimously. We'll move on to the next item. So 11.12, the Planning Act temporary delegation to for the election period again. Shannon, present that report. Thank you.
Yep, this report is seeking council's approval to temporarily delegate its powers as assessment manager under the Planning Act to the CEO for the period from 6th of March 2024 until the post-election meeting of the new council. Councillors obviously are aware that some planning decisions can't be made during the caretaker period, but there are other planning decisions that still can be made during this period. Temporary delegation of these powers to the CEO will allow council to be able to comply with any statutory approval timeframes, despite council not having regular meetings during that period from the council meeting scheduled on the 5th of March until a post-election meeting.
Thanks very much, Shannon. And again, it's the wheels of the council still need to operate while the caretaker period is on, and that process is one that's not unfamiliar to the previous caretaker time. So that said, if there's no questions, again, I'm happy to move. Seek a seconder. Deputy Mayor Councillor Fisher, I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion is carried unanimously. Thanks very much, Shannon.
Excellent, thank you.
We'll move on to our next report, 11.13, the sale of properties for overdue rates for 2024. Marnie, I'll invite you to present the report, and good morning.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and good morning, everybody. So, Council, as is customary around this time of the year, we look at our rate balances and we consider which balances are exceeding that 3-year period in terms of payment of rates. So, as a result of that, we have the authority to sell a land for overdue rates and charges, and as per the report, there is a listing At this stage, in the report, there was 40 properties, but it's actually reduced down to 38 now. We've had a couple of payments received in the last day or so, which has altered the list slightly, taking a couple of properties out of that land sale process. So the recommendation is for council to proceed with action to sell the properties as listed below. Those property IDs have been provided for overdue rates as provided by the local government regulation, and also delegate to the Chief Executive Officer its power to take all the steps under Chapter 4, Part 12, Division 3 of the regs to effect the sale of the land, including, for avoidance of doubt, the power to end sale proceedings. So there's no questions. That's the recommendation for council to consider.
Thank you, Marnie. Councillors, any questions to Marnie on this report? Again, as it's highlighted in the report, a lot of those ones drop off as they get closer to the expiry date, as we've seen in previous years. It's a process that happens over time, and one there that we undertake just to make sure everyone's in the regions paying their way. Councillor, if there's no questions, I'm happy to move as recommended. Seek a seconder. Councillor Latcham. I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Thanks very much, Marnie. We'll move on to your next report, which is 11.14, Summary Budget Management Report for the period ending 31st of December 23.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So this report shows us or demonstrates our data for financials in terms of a halfway period for the financial year 23-24 up to the 31st of December. Attached is the income statement with the actuals and budget for that period, as well as the key indicator graphs that we normally supply. Generally speaking, everything should be within 50% of the budget. Operating revenue is sitting at 49%, and there are a variety of factors that are contributing to that under budget amount, although it's only minor. Our private and recoverable works are at 58% of the budget. Our grants and subsidies are below budget at 35%. That was mainly due to the timing of the financial assistance grants and also the water carting grant money to Mount Morgan. I'm pleased to advise that we've just submitted in the last week the third claim for the carting costs to the department, so they will be looking over that now for that payment to come through to council. Other income is at 58% due to car rental concession income from the airport, and most other revenue items are within proximity to budget. Just also note there, councillors, that we have run our rates for the second half yearly rate payment levy, or the rate levy for this year, and we expect that those rate notices will go out next week to ratepayers, so just be aware that that's on they're on their way. And in terms of the operating expenditure, we're at 48% of the revised budget, so contractors and consultants are at 42% due to the timing of work. Operational expenses are at 43%, admin expenses are at 38%, and other expenses are generally around 40% due to the payment of community assistance grants and sponsorships, etc. In terms of our capital budget, our capital income is at 52% of the revised budget. That is mainly due to grants and subsidies tied to performance obligations, and we saw a big uplift in that grant money coming prior to Christmas with the payment for towards the Mount Morgan Pipeline capital works. So that has certainly altered that capital revenue balance for the year. In terms of our capital expenditure, we're sitting at 36%, so still under budget in terms of our capital expenditure program, and something that we'll be focusing on when we look at our capital budgets and the formation of our budgets, which we're currently commencing or have underway already for the 24-25 year. So we're in the process of developing the assumptions, pulling together the budget packs, and preparing to distribute to those budget owners over the coming weeks to start preparing the 24-25 budget, and also looking at the position that we'll find ourselves in for the closing of the 23-24 budget, particularly in the capital space. In terms of our investments, they were at 79 million as at the 31st of December, and total loans were at 123.5 million. So we do have in our budget, as Council will recall, about 143.9 million in our capital expenditure program, and at this point in time we're only sitting at 52.1 million for that capital spend at the end of December. We do expect that there will be some uplift in that number based on some of those projects really getting going, particularly if we talk about the Mount Morgan pipeline works, but yeah, it's still something that we need to be looking at and working with managers in relation to their pattern of spend and what their actuals are expected to be by the end of the financial year. And that's,
So probably just a question around that one, Marnie. You take the major projects out of it. How are we tracking with just the capital with their normal operations?
I'd have to take that on notice, Mr.
Yeah,
Mayor. I
probably.
couldn't unequivocally talk about that excluding those major projects, but because we do have so much budget tied up in those major project amounts, it does obviously consume a lot of our budget. I believe, and when we did the budget review, we were tracking relatively well in relation to our capital spend in other areas of our budget. So I'm not necessarily concerned that there's issues in that space. It'll just be what the overall picture will look like.
Right, that was probably the answer I was looking for. Thanks, Barney.
I think, through the chair, I think Peter is online there, can make probably further comment around that. I believe the FRW capital is probably a little bit behind where they sit in relation to project planning and resourcing issues over there, but from what I understand, civil operations is fairly well on target.
Yeah.
So, but Peter might want to be able to comment a bit more, Mr.
Thanks, Peter. Do you have an update on that if the others haven't answered it well enough?
Yeah, no, look, it's pretty well covered. Look, civil operations is performing on target. The only issue we've got at the moment is, since the start of the year, we are had to wind up a couple of crews because of lots of vacancies. So we're keeping an eye on it, but the spend is on target.
Mm-hmm.
In the major project world, things are moving quite okay, and I think you'll see a rapid increase in spend on a couple of the major projects coming over in the next month or two.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, Mr. Mayor, as Peter alluded to, that resourcing our vacancies that we have got, we've had to, well, as Peter said, wrap a couple of crews up because we just can't get enough new staff to fulfil a crew, so we've had to join crews together. And then there's resourcing in some other areas that were just very difficult to find at this point in time. So, but I believe that market is starting to loosen up a little bit.
Okay. Right, thanks very much for that, Peter and Evan and Marnie. That's answered my question in that space. Question, Councillor Rutherford?
No, Mr. Mayor, I'm just, because I had the same question as you did, and I'm just wondering whether for future reports with the capital expenditure, whether we can have a paragraph that talks about, because this one also talks about projects that were pushed into next financial year. So whether we have a couple of columns or notes about which projects were pushed forward, which are the major projects that are carrying the most of the capital underspend, I guess, and then which of the everyday projects and how they're tracking. So basically just what we've been told verbally, just to keep those dot points in the report.
Yeah, that's
Peter,
fine.
that's okay.
No issue at all.
Yeah. Right, thank you. It's, give us a little bit more detail on that. It seems to be a constant when we're getting these reports, so it'd be good to just get a handle on where it actually lies. Sorry. Okay, Councillor, if there's no further questions to that report, sorry, Councillor Latcham.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, just a quick one. Just Marnie, you mentioned rates go out next week. When is the pay-by date?
I can't tell you exactly, Councillor Latcham, but it will be towards the end of February, early March. It's a 30-day period.
Okay. No, that's okay.
So I think the issue date is the 31st. So it will most likely be 1st of March or, something like around that
thank you.
time frame. So,
thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Councillor Latcham. I'm happy to move. Seek a seconder. Deputy Mayor, Councillor Fisher. We'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Thanks for that report, Marnie. We'll move on to 11.15, Mayor Council Corporate Performance Report, period ending 31st of December, and ask Ross to present that report. Councillor Smith.
Mr Mayor, I forgot to mention in the conflicts of interest, I was so happy that everyone else had a conflict. On page 183, it talks about where Mount Morgan's still 100% relying on water trucks, and also 197, it gives a little pipeline summary. It's only about 4 little sections in that.
Yep.
I think on
we'll
previous...
have to discuss it.
Yeah,
we won't discuss those matters.
Okay.
Okay.
So it won't involve me then? Because normally when Councillor Smith now has it, I now have it, so...
If there are questions around those matters, we'll call on the conflicts to be acknowledged, and if they're not, then we won't require it, if that's okay. So I'll hand over to Ross.
Thank you.
Good morning, Ross, and present your report, please.
Morning, Mr Mayor. Morning, councillors. Ordinarily, this report is, we have the detailed discussion in our briefing session, which we do have scheduled next Tuesday, if council... but we're happy to take questions today, but it is on the schedule for next Tuesday as well.
Okay. Righto. Councillor, is there anything there that's burning that you need to do? Otherwise, we can deal with it at that briefing session. Councillor Wickerson.
Oh, Mayor, thank you, through you to Ross. The only one that probably stood out to me, well, actually two, sorry, Ross, about injuries in the workplace and lost time injuries. Just the trajectory of some of the graphs there seem to be high, like with the top one is days lost due to injury above the threshold already, and we're only basically halfway through the year, so I'm a little bit concerned with that. And the other graphs below that, total injury count and lost time injury count, are also tracking above what certainly what previous last time and heading towards the threshold. So I'm just wondering, are we, obviously you've noted that, but are we taking some actions to mitigate it or address it?
Yes, through the Chair, Councillor Wickerson, in relation to days lost to injury, that's gone over the current threshold due to injuries from the previous financial year where there were surgeries involved. So I've had a number that have had ongoing impact through this financial year in terms of time off. We've also had 3 of our LTIs this year resulting in surgical intervention as well, which again has contributed to that. So unfortunately, just given the nature of some of those particular incidents that we've had, in relation to some of the other, the injury count itself, while high, probably our severity rate isn't particularly high in terms of those overarching injuries. Obviously, we do have that jump in LTIs, which was particularly in the first period of the financial year, unfortunately, just due to a number of incidents. I can say there's probably not a lot of commonality around some of those, quite dispersed in terms of the nature of the particular incidents. Some are contributed by a bit of an ageing workforce, so musculoskeletal injuries is a recurring one, and there have been some recommendations come out of our annual management review report that will be implemented through the course of this year to try and address some of those particular more frequent incidents that are occurring in the workplace.
Yeah. Okay, Damon. No, thanks for that. And the second one of mine can wait. It's around tree maintenance and trimming in the parks, but that'll wait for the workshop.
Thanks very much, Councillor Wickerson. Question, Councillor Kirkland and Councillor Rutherford.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Just not to disappoint, to make sure that I do have question. No, I always have a question around this because it's such a large report, and I always find that there is some intricacies in there that we potentially need clarification on, and happy to leave the minor ones through to the workshop. But before I do that, can I just say through you, Mr Mayor, congratulations to our customer service team. Great report for customer service there in this, but also to our libraries team. Huge congratulations to the libraries and the great things they're doing there, and also to Advance Rockhampton for the fabulous light show that was up at the gardens with that 48,729 people. Hoo-ha, that's a lot of people, and certainly they would have walked away with very big pockets. I was going to ask a question though, which is around the tendering, and that is on page 7 of your report. it looks like there's a repeat in there, and I just wanted some clarification around that. So tender 15718 and tender 15752 sound like they're for exactly the same thing, which is the Meerkat covers, shades. It looks like it's in there twice.
Yeah, I'll have to take those for next week. I'm not sure off the top of my head exactly what they are, but if I can get those numbers from you, Council, I can have those answers for next week.
Yeah, happy to pass
Sorry,
those.
I got the page 7, but I missed the actual tender numbers, so I'll get them from
All
you.
right, I'll just send those through to you just in case. I was curious, is it two different things or is it the same thing? Alicia's not here to qualify that either, so. Okay. And through you, Mr Mayor, just, if was there, oh no, I'll leave it till next week. That's fine.
Thanks, Councillor Kirkland. Councillors, any further questions to Ross's report? If not, could I have a mover and a seconder? Move Councillor Kirkland, seconded Councillor Wickerson. I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you very much. I just timed out. We'll move on to the item 12, 12.1. We have two notice of motion. Councillor Fisher. Councillor Fisher. No. Go travel to Bowen Mine Mason. I'll do it for you. Club luncheon for February 2024. I'm happy to move as recommended. Seconded Councillor Latcham. We'll put that. Those in favour. Those opposed. Motion's carried unanimously. And the second item being again travel to the Bowen Mining Basin luncheon in November 2023 retrospective. Again, I'm happy. Seek a seconder. Councillor Kirkland. Put that. Those in favour. Those opposed, motion's carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. Councillor, now we do have one item to be dealt with in closed session, but before we wrap up, could I just make a comment on, as this is our last meeting for the term of this council?
No, it's two more.
Sorry? Two more meetings?
Yeah, February and March.
Oh, have we? But in caretaker, but the full...
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll hold until But I was just going to say this was the last one formal council meeting that we'd be able to use for adoption. But anyway, that said, we'll go to closed session items there that need to be dealt with in closed session in accordance with provision 254J3, Local Government Regulations 2012, of the Local Government resolved to close the meeting to the public to discuss the confidential items such as councillors and members considered necessary to close the meeting. That being the Barada, Cabelbarra, Yatamarala people 1 and 2, BKY and the native title claims. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Move Councillor Fisher, seconded Councillor Smith. I'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. And now that the meeting now move into closed session, I'm happy to move and seconded Councillor Wickerson. We'll put that. Those in favour? Those opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. The meeting will now move in.
Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Taking the good with the ups and downs. I wanna see how the world turns round. Let's go adventure in the deep blue sea. Home is with you wherever that may be. Home is with you wherever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
whatever that may be.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine, everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line, ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming.
Councillors, the officer's recommendation is there with regards to that native title claim for Baroda Capital Borough and Yettermarala peoples. I'm happy to move. Seek a seconder. Deputy Mayor Councillor Fisher. I'll put that. Those in favour. Those opposed. Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you, councillors. Councillors and officers, that brings us to the end of our agenda items for this council meeting, not the last one. So I'll thank everyone for your attendance and participation and close the meeting. Thank you.
Now that we've arrived here, I would not change a thing. Knew that we'd survive here and all the goodness we would bring. Of this I sing. Everybody swimming in sunshine. Everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line. Ain't nobody left behind. Everybody swimming in sunshine. Everybody feeling fine. Everybody join the front line.